Were you doing the cave diving? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's so sick.
Oh, amazing.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
All right.
funny thing is, yeah, I get more of a rush out of winning a game of StarCraft than I did.
It's like that, isn't it? StarCraft is
Yeah,
damn intense, man. There is
I'm
a
hooked, man. I'm hooked.
oh yeah. It is and that's what makes it so hard sometimes to separate our ego or to calm ourselves
Oh
down and
yeah,
not get so upset over losses. So that's why it's the ultimate learning experience is
it
StarCraft
is, mate.
because it feels
Really is.
great when you win and until you learn how to really kind of
You
I
gotta learn
think
how to
ride the
lose.
roll. Yeah, you got to learn the roller coaster of emotions. So
Yep.
that's a big struggle which you need to focus on, and which we will kind
Yeah.
of always come back to at times when you're like, "Oh, I'm tilted as all hell, man. I'm so angry." But anyway, so you put down a ton of notes, which is great. So we've got all these notes at the moment. All your matchups are kind of 54 to 59%.
Yep.
You like to drone scout if they're random. Otherwise, you just wait for your overlord.
Yep.
So one thing was, yeah, you hadn't really used any build orders, right?
No,
So you hadn't even written down like your openings, where you
I
just
did.
kind
I
of had a
did. I
composition.
mean,
Oh, you did end up doing that?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Down the bottom,
down the bottom. Let me see. I think.
my opening and
Ah, there we
Yep.
go. Openings and patterns. Nice. Okay, so you'd often go hatch at 300 minerals, send a drone 200, 17 overlord, gas, pool, yep, make queens, ling speed, overlord 30, maybe take a quick third depending on what's happening. Work to fully saturate bases, make roach ravage a hydra as an all-round build, and then go. So that's like, yeah, that's your generic go-to. That's
Yeah,
the easiest composition to just kind of be a one-size-fits-all. So it's a good way to start
yeah.
out. That being said, always good to be ambitious once in a while. So if you ever see something like, oh man, I love the look of Hydra Bane or I love the look of Mutalisk, Zergling,
Yep.
Baneling, then and you're really motivated, then it's a good reason to jump into it, even if we
Yep.
suck at it. So have there been any compositions like that that you felt like, oh, I really want to learn how to play that, or you've tried it a little bit,
Um,
but you're not as good?
I
Yeah.
I really like Retro Hydra. I don't really like. Well, I'll have a go at anything, but I just tend to. I don't know. I just like it for some
Just
reason.
feels good. If it feels good, it
Yeah,
feels
feels
good.
good, man.
That's it. Like it's one of those
Uh,
things where it's like it's cool to learn different styles, but it always has to
yeah,
be one that you're excited to learn. So
yeah.
if you see something else like Roach Swarm Host or whatever it is, then
Yeah,
we'll learn it. But until then, Roach Hydra, we can get really high on the ladder with Roach Hydra as like the basis of most of our styles.
yeah. It's nothing deeper than that. I really fucking like it.
Hells yeah. And that's a good way to choose progression. Sometimes people forget that. They're like, oh, I should do this because I saw the best player in the world do this against that race. And I'm like, that shouldn't have any bearing on our decision making. Like, who cares
Just
what the
play
best
like
player is doing?
several.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because people like do that. They're like, oh, ha, ha, yeah.
Yeah,
And then they're like, I will copy your strategy. I'm like, why? I'm like, if you're really motivated and it looks cool and it matches your feet, the way you want to play the game, go for it. But otherwise, yeah, we definitely don't want to be trying to carbon copy pro gamers. We
from
want to take
what?
little details of what they do.
Yeah, yeah. So what I have found exactly what you said. If I'm doing a build that I'm not really, if I'm not committed to something, I'm 50. I'm black or white, man. If I'm not interested in something, I don't put any effort in. But which is why I go retro. If I find something I really like, I'll actually play it like fuckloads better.
Yeah, and you just get
So
really into it. So that's
yeah,
good. That's a good way to choose our styles and stick to them. And I mean, the thing is, like Roach Hydra is such a good basis, and you can add things like Vipers
yeah,
to it, right? To be really good
yeah.
if a lot of tanks get out or
Oh,
Colossus.
dude, I love
Broodlord
Iron.
transition is beautiful. You know, you add 8 Broodlords in front of your Roach Hydra, and they
Yeah,
just can't get through to you. Heaps of
did
cool
that
stuff you
yesterday.
can do.
I had a turtle Terran fucking yesterday.
Nice. And you just added in the broods and snapped in with the Broodlord timing attack with Roach Hydra
Yeah,
underneath,
well, it
or
was sort of it was a long drawn out affair because died the turtle Terran too many times. So I ended up taking half the map, and then I tried Infestors. I was just fucking around, and then I tried Infestors, so it didn't really work. So then I was like, well, go to Vipers. And that was got a couple of openings, and then I sort of realised that, hang on, pretty sure he's on like 2 fucking bases with all his army he's got. I was like, well, fuck you, Broodlords, Vipers.
Yep.
Yeah, they just killed his army with Broodlords and Vipers. And yeah, that was a win. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Sweet as, man. All right. Well, to finish up this thing before we hop into replays and potential
yep,
games, let's read through the mechanical answers. So,
yep,
you haven't been control grouping your eggs, but you do use camera hotkeys. So that's kind of funny because camera hotkeys is usually the more advanced mechanic. That's a little bit rarer. But how are you using that? Is it just like Control F1,
Control F1. Yeah,
And F2, F3, F4 kind
So at the moment, just been sticking to having one. So
of. Okay.
I'm trying to progress slowly. So with the hotkeys, I've been practice. I started
Yeah.
grouping. So like, if my spellcasters on a hotkey, and I've been using F2 and having my one unit on the hotkeys just to get used to using these. So been doing that for a few weeks. So
Yep.
the game I played yesterday, that turtle fucker, I think I hotkeyed. Got the replay there. So I hotkeyed. I think my Festers, and I also ended up hotkeying Vipers and Broodlords because I had both.
And are you hotkeying them as you're building them? Like you're hotkeying the eggs, like the moment you build a round of them? Or is it when they're popped out, you're kind of grabbing them and putting them on a control
Uh,
group?
yeah, so when they pop out, but I've been practicing the egg thing.
Okay. So you know how to do it, you
Yeah,
understand
control
it. It's
group.
just
Yeah,
a matter of building the
yep,
habit then.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're
tree,
already
click on egg,
practicing
shift
that.
click,
Yeah.
and I've unbound my all army hotkey. Time
Oh, so you've unbound that for the moment? Okay.
have
Okay.
time to put the
So
big boy pants on.
awesome. So this is a big change, and that's going to keep you occupied, and your MMR will naturally go down. If you go back
Yep,
to gold, that's fine. That's totally fine because it's short-term pain, long-term gain, right?
that's right.
It's we're kind of rebuilding the way we're doing it, right? So, best analogy: you are right-footed, but for some reason you learn how to play soccer kicking with your left foot, and now we're retraining you to kick with your right
Yep.
foot, and it's going to take a little bit, but yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
I'm good at retraining my brain. That's one part. So it's one thing that's coming quite handy with StarCraft.
Good, good, fantastic. I mean, already just kind of realizing, yeah, like it's like you can't keep reinforcing the old habit or it slows down. A lot of people try to like, learn it while doing the old thing. And then you're basically saying, oh, I need to build units. And then you've got two different things that are popping into your brain. One is control group
Yeah,
the eggs, and the other is, no, we're relying on F2. And that just results in confusion, right?
yeah,
Like
you
you need to
can't.
create a really clear mental path of when this happens, I do this. Otherwise, your learning slows down, and sometimes you like learn backwards. You actually get a lot worse at the game. You'll like
Yeah,
get worse at both mechanics at the same time rather than learning a new one.
yeah. So this is the whole strategy is to. I wanted to get to the point where I knew I could actually progress. So I made it to plat. I was like, okay, that's good
Yeah,
enough where I could worth getting coaching. And then now it's about making all the stepping it up a notch.
yeah,
The whole army hotkey, putting my eggs on my keys, all that is where I'm starting.
yeah.
Just stepping it up a notch, man. That's the plan.
Awesome. So looking at the rest of this, you do use shift and control a little bit, good amount. The moment you're mainly using your alarmy key, but you are okay. So we're working it. Started just one, two. Yep. We only really need one or two groups. So another thing we can start getting used to now, while we're building new habits, is actually, how are we? How do you inject your hatcheries?
I've got my hatcheries set up on spacebar, so I hit space, cycle between my bases that way, and box select and inject.
Okay, so it's just like space, boxer queen, V click, space, boxer queen, V click.
Yep, I've
Awesome.
I've got pretty good at that.
As long as you're comfortable with that, that's a totally
Yeah,
decent way of doing it.
yeah, that really. I use read as well, so it works really well because I've
Yeah.
got base with my thumb and then my fingers straight at X already, so I've got it down.
Cool.
Yeah, it feels really nice. So
So with the default setup,
yep,
your camera hotkeys would be like F1, F3, F4 or something because
yeah,
select all army was F2. Have you fixed that so it's like F1, F2, F3, F4 are all camera hotkeys?
yep.
Good. Okay,
So
so in the
I had
future we can learn how to use those, but that's for like that's not important now. That's something
yep,
maybe in a month or two we can really work on. Yeah.
yeah. Because of what I liked using I've got the mouse with a wheel and the button on the middle. I use that as my all army hotkey instead of it's quicker, like instant. So
Yeah.
that's what I had it on, yeah. So obviously I've unbound it.
And rally point sometimes is proxy. Cool. I was just writing down a little note there. So
Yep,
future mechanical habit is learn how to use all camera hotkeys and just writing down how I use them. But obviously
yep,
everything's like personal. Everything's what works for you to a certain
yep.
extent, as long as there's a logic behind it. So mechanically, I think we should be pretty good. That's awesome. There's nothing here where I'm like, oh, this is terrible. What about putting Zerglings on the map? Using the shift to deselect Zerglings, like cloning. Do you know what I mean when I'm talking about that?
Oh, vaguely.
Okay,
As in
let's yeah.
select group and then to get rid of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically it would be like you select your army, say it's 20 Zerglings in the early game, and you say, everyone go to that point, deselect a Ling, everyone go to that point, deselect a Ling, everyone
Yeah.
go to that
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
deselect a Ling, and then you'd go control one again
Yeah.
to recreate the control group. And basically 3 Zerglings would go to 3 separate, like one to each separate scouting location,
Yeah.
and your army would pull home. And then by resetting the control group, you're basically remaking it minus the 3 Lings you sent out. So is that something you're doing, or?
Kind of, just not efficiently.
Yeah, because you're used to F2. There's even
Yeah.
if you know how to use that mechanic, it would have been useless to you because every time you press
Yeah.
F2, they come home.
Back.
So as
That's
we
exactly why I want to break it.
exactly, especially as a Zerg player, man, it's like so
Oh
dumb when
yeah.
an attack just arrives at your base and you're like, this should have been easy to hold if I had 20 seconds, even just 20 seconds to build some more units and get in position. You know,
Man, you know how many times I've gone to scout with an overseer and gone, oh, fucking getting attacked. Come back and I'm like, the fuck's my scouting? Oh yeah. Fucking
yep.
overseer's at my base, dickhead.
Yes, with Zerg
Yeah.
especially, the F2
Yep.
habit is so punishing, man. Awesome. Okay, so shift deselecting or cloning, whichever we want to call that, slash cloning for Ling's map control, map vision. So we can focus on that after the control groups are more natural. And here's a little bit of homework I'm already going to write out for you. So to speed up the process is going to be basically, I want you to spend 5 minutes in an empty custom game,
Yep.
just drilling the control grouping eggs and spreading Ling Scouts into, key spots on the map. Just to
Get the mechanic
repetitively
down pat,
drill it. Yeah, just like 3-4 minutes of just, all right, build a few Zerglings control group, build a few Zerglings control group. Mindless, but you do that for like a few days and it speeds up your progress. You don't have to do that for 2 weeks, just a few days, and that'll make a massive difference. Just to repetitively drill both mechanics. And those are the 2 big mechanics. For any Zerg player especially, is the ability to control group your eggs and get used to those control groups, and the ability to put scouts out on the map. They help Terran and Protoss a ton as well, but for Zerg especially, these are like our fundamental must-haves that will really allow us to jump up.
I've died quite a few times because I'm like, oh fuck, there's a Protoss army in my base.
Yep.
Nowhere.
Too many times. You're like, oh, I'm force fielded behind my base. My ramps. Oh, great. This is fun.
I don't know how many times I said fucking Protoss.
Well, do you want to grab a replay? Just go replays,
I've got 2. So what I played 2 games yesterday, which I saved because I thought that'd be good for you to see.
Awesome.
One's, are you happy with that?
Yeah. So just go replay, watch with others, host it up. Let's just go. We can look through a few different replays and kind of just talk about theory and stuff. And then hopefully when we do a future session, it can, you can be a little bit more used to the mechanics and stuff. And maybe we can do some live play and kind of watch some habits and give some feedback on how it's going and all that sort of stuff.
This game I thought was good because it was a diamond player, so 600 MMR above me.
Thank you so much, anonymous gifter.
I think
thank you.
I didn't go too bad. I think I might have been able to win if I had kept up with upgrades, managed my fights better. So, interested to see if you think that's accurate or I'm way off.
Yep, we'll take a look. All right. So, one of the big things with looking at replays is always going to be okay. Here we go. Is going to be looking for those key points where games kind of fall out of our control and things go rough. Identifying that this is the point, rather than 10 minutes later once we're already way behind all game. Right? It's really easy to like forget about something that happened 10 minutes early, which is really the main point where you lost the game, and then afterwards you're going, oh man, how do I beat that? And it's like, well, dude, you were just way behind earlier and you forgot about it because the game was so intense.
I am good at figuring out why I lose. Because I can watch a replay, in hindsight, I'm perfect because I can go, well, that's why I lost right there. So I found lately, been winning a lot of games, even though I played a Zerg ZVZ the other day. Can't find the replay, but I was down in drone, down in base and down in upgrades and somehow still won. And I was like, how the fuck did that happen?
No doubt, some very good fights on. So can we actually hop out of this replay? I realized I need to steer. I forgot to tell you to make me the lobby. I was like writing some notes, and I was
the lobby king.
Yes. So if we hop out of there, host up again.
Make you leader, yeah. Yep.
Oh no, you actually need to be the leader. So it's different. Party leader is different to lobby king. So because you have to host the replay because you've got it on your computer.
Okay.
And once we're in the lobby, rather than clicking start game, you'll have to click on me in the lobby. Right click promote to lobby host. Yeah.
Sorry, man. It's my first day, you know.
This happens literally every single time I coach anybody. They start the replay and I go, oh shit, I forgot to tell you. So yeah, just right click my name there in the lobby.
Promote your lobby host.
That's it. And that'll give me the big daddy driving spot. Awesome.
Now you get the big boy pants on.
Yay! I do far too much rewinding and fast forwarding. So whenever I'm like, oh no, go back a little. No, fast forward.
Yeah,
go back a little. It's like, yeah. I end up backseat driving.
Yeah, no, I'll fucking hate that. I'll just like let me do it for fuck.
Okay, so first off the bat. Do you notice anything odd about your opening? What's going on here? What supply is that hatchery going down on?
From what again? Red.
Yeah, you're red. You put your hatchery down on 14 supply.
Is that?
Yeah. That's way too early. You normally go 17. I think you even had it in your notes that you normally go 17 hatch.
Well, that's what I thought I did.
Or maybe, actually, you didn't have it written down. So this is the power of defining and refining our openings a little bit more. You might be doing this every single game and inadvertently just building your hatchery. And whilst it finishes a few seconds earlier, it just slows down your mining. So I think you're lagging. Or am I lagging? One of us is. That's okay. Just a spike. So with your opening, the standard one should be 17 hatch. Okay. Opening was rough. Should be standard opening would be something like 17 hatch. I mean, normally people go 18 gas and then 17 pool. Yeah. But you could go 17, 17, 17. It's just, we want to get the 16 workers up on minerals as quickly as possible to make sure we're good with that. So anything like that is going to make just a couple of minerals of difference, and that can add up over the course of the game. So we can see.
I tend to be in a rush. So you'll probably notice as well, all my tech buildings are all super early as well.
Do you have a special game plan against Zerg?
Make more shit than the other guy. That's literally my game plan with Zerg.
No worries. I mean, that's the starting point of a very good game plan for Zerg versus Zerg, to be honest.
I think it's worked so far.
Yeah, I have a series of guides called Aggression is the Key, ZVZ, and basically it teaches us how to micro Zergling Baneling properly in the matchup and be very aggressive and just kill our opponent, right? So because the way Zerg works, right, give you a little bit of theory. So if we think about ZVZ, both of you build everything out of your hatcheries, right?
Yep.
So the number one way you scout a fellow Zerg player is you see, are they building drones or are they building army, right? Yep. And the scary thing about a Zerg, and this is what our opponents hate about playing against us, is at any point we could suddenly build 1 billion units or 1 billion drones. We can go way harder one direction or the other very suddenly. Terran needs to build 4 or 5 barracks and then slowly over several minutes build up into a big bio army. We can have a spawning pool and then at the drop of a hat just queue up 1 billion Zerglings for 2 minutes straight, right? We don't have that same delay between producing the units and getting them out and choosing to commit. So how the hell do you deal with that? The key for Terran and Protoss is to pressure Zerg, right? They're always trying to either harass us if they're doing a good build or do some sort of timing attack, right? Yep. And that's usually what I tell people when you're playing against Zerg. And it's the same if you're playing against yourself as a Zerg player, is we need to do some sort of pressure. Now, people often, they misunderstand. They think pressure means they're running 2 Zerglings back and forwards, trying to kill a drone, running out, running in. That's a massive waste of APM because you can't do that while spending your money at home at the same time. It's more like, okay, we're hitting with one big tight pressure. Maybe like we build 20 lings, right as ling speed finishes, we go across and hit with it, but we're droning really hard behind it. And if our opponent's too greedy, we just kill them.
Yep.
But if they've got plenty of units, we can pull back, start building more units ourselves. And what have we done? We've, number one, checked they weren't being the greedy douchebag who's only building drones. If they are, we kill them. Awesome. So we've ruled that out. Now, what if they're going crazy on units and they're actually trying to all in us? They're just going full units. Well, we're going to spot that. We're already going to have some units out and we can pull home and hopefully get more units. And at least we're getting an idea of, oh, they're doing that. And it's giving us some warning, right? So by attacking, you're both checking that your opponent's not being super greedy. You're also checking that they're not all inning you. So you're forcing them to be honest, and you're also giving yourself the chance to get a free win if they're being too greedy.
Yeah.
So pressure is something which we want to kind of have built into our play, and because it's so fast paced, how quickly units can get across the map. We want to have that kind of pre-planned before the game even starts. We want to be like, oh, my ZVZ is I hit with 20 Zerglings and then I follow up with a ton of Ling Roach or something like that, and that gives you this really clear focus, so you can focus your whole game plan around making that really clean and refined. And work backwards from there. So ZVZ, it's about having clear, planned out pressure / attacks that you plan to do before the game even starts. Refine the shit out of those.
Yep.
And basically carry the momentum of the game that way. Now,
So I've been a bit traumatized because I don't know how many times, man, at least 10. I died to Ling Rush. So I'm like nearly fucking paranoid about it.
And that's why we're going to Ling Rush
So,
them first. And
I
that's going
learned
to
to
solve that.
I learned to defend that.
Yep.
Yeah, just Queen and Ling, and then
Did you get better at putting your queens on your ramp against that, or?
after I lost my mirror line a few times, yep.
Yes. Queens on the ramp is a big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I said it, you see him running, like, God fucking damn it. So yeah, I learned pretty. But
Sorry.
definitely, one of my weaknesses, definitely not enough early game pressure.
Yeah.
Because
And what upgrade did we actually forget this game?
I didn't get any upgrades. I didn't get any +1 or plus.
And you didn't even get Zergling speed. You were opening
No,
with
I
like
didn't.
really heavy Zerglings and you didn't even make
That's what I
any
mean,
speed.
man. I forgot everything. I think because I saw Diamond and I was like, fuck. And then I get really pretty wound up.
That happens a lot. Try not to
Yeah.
read too much into it. Just remember, if someone's playing you, usually they're a pretty good match for you. Because sometimes people are like, they were that rank, but it was like someone else playing on their account, or like it was like a few seasons before they had that rank. For some reason, the border's still there. There's like weird things that happen with that. But anyways, having a game plan here makes it so much easier to not forget. So basically what happens, right, is a lot of us like, oh, I got to be flexible. I got to adjust. That's what StarCraft's about, right? And we play with this mindset of like, I want to adapt to everything my opponent does. Problem is, there's 1,000 basic things we need to do in StarCraft, right? That real-time aspect, the fact that there's so many things we've got to micromanage, our economy, we've got to micromanage our units, we've got to make decisions. So what a lot of us do is we fall into this state where you haven't done any builds and you haven't really got a clear game plan other than, we'll get the queens on the ramp against this, might build this against that, but it's very loose, right? So what we really want to start getting towards is having like a baseline. So you have like this generic game plan, and you only adapt off of that. And what you'll find is, number one, it makes it really easy to hit your macro. You're going to remember to inject. You're not going to get supply blocked. You're going to know when your buildings are finished because they finished at that time before. You're going to know when certain rush hits you. You've been in the exact same scenario against it before. So if you don't have these consistent build orders, what a lot of people have is they actually never figure out how to respond to things properly, because every time they try a response, it's actually a different thing they're doing. Why? Because their economy is a bit different every game. Their build order is a bit different. They've got different upgrades. So the same things don't work. And because of that, it gets really hard to improve at a certain point because you just can't get that consistency under your belt. So what we really want to go is say, hey, let's always have a framework, right? A build order for us, it's not like a rigid path where we brainlessly just follow this thing, but it's a way to take the question marks out of a lot of the basic things so we can focus on the important strategic things, right?
Yeah, that was my plan. Is get the... So... I'm ex-military, so that's exactly the same way we work. Like, with weapons, for example, we do it so many fucking times, we don't have to consciously think about it. And then we fucking on it. So it's the same. I realized it's the same principle. Playing StarCraft, get all this shit so well locked down that it's literally not a conscious thought, and then you focus on all that, like, actually fighting and planning, so...
I've talked to quite a few soldiers or ex-soldiers who've played StarCraft, and yeah, I always hear that Because if you think about it, it just makes perfect sense. It's like, well,
It
you
does.
literally you're training for the most high stress situation combat. That's more than anything, right? And it's the exact same thing. It's like, well, to make sure you don't shit your pants and you do your job, you need to be drilled, right? You need to take the question marks out so that you can react to the few key things that need to be reacted to, but most of
all
it's
the little
autopilot.
things, all the little things, or just not even. You're not wasting brain power on them. They get carried out automatically. And
Exactly. When you've got
so I'm
adrenaline
like,
pumping, it's not going to work
yeah.
otherwise. You're going to forget basic. If you've got to think about how to, like, you know, how to inject your hatcheries or how to reload your gun or whatever it is, like you're not going to do well in a stressful situation.
So I've
So
noticed
that's going to be awesome. Yeah.
really improved. Before, like I was one of those people that I'd go across and fight, and the thought of like injects, macroing, building bases, that just got completely forgotten about. And I was balls deep in a fight, and then if I won, I was alright. But more than often, I'd lose the fight, and then I'd still be on 2 bases. I'd have like 24 drones, and be like, "Ah, fuck."
Yep.
So that's improved a lot. Like I'm learning to very whilst I fight, and that's becoming more and more. Obviously, shit, but it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah.
So, like I'm expanding more now and hitting the objects way more regularly. So yeah, it's working.
That's awesome. I think it's really good to have that, and it's interesting because like with a lot of Terran and Protoss players I coach, I'd be like, look, at this stage, when you're learning the game, even it's good at the point right where you are. Sure, have a clearer game plan and stuff, but it's also really nice to have like a little bit of harassment mixed into your play. Now, as a Zerg, you don't have as many accessible options for harassment, right? You can't just, I've got a warp prism with 3 adepts in it, super low cost, I can go in, pick off a few workers, get out of there. For us, it's more, you know, focusing what we're doing with our main army, setting ourselves up, having a clear game plan. So in this one, basically I want to go back and like basically at this point in the replay, we've got a ton of Roach Ravager, a bunch of Zerglings, but we didn't kind of build cleanly to this. Yeah, no Roach speed, no real upgrades, no Zergling
I
speed.
forgot everything, man. Every single upgrade. I looked at it, I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
And check this out. Your opponent's got 2/2
Yeah,
mass
I know.
Roach. Like that is a quality army from your opponent right here. That's a real quality army. And even though you're doing some decent biles and stuff, it's just such a better army. Even Hydra's coming out with range upgrade about to finish. That's just insane. Like, there's no way to win this game from here.
I looked at the on the replay when I first watched it. I was like, my army supply was good. So I thought if I hadn't, that's what my theory was. If I'd actually had all my upgrades, could have been a more even fight. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Absolutely, potentially could have, but I think what we want to focus on more is right now this ZVZ game plan of being an aggressive psychopath. So I'm going to put a link for you to watch later.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not getting salty comments from your opponent whenever you win a ZVZ, you're playing it wrong. I'm joking a little bit, but I'm not really. People will get angry when you do this stuff.
Baiting the salt, man. Bring it.
Yeah, it's how you learn. Because you got to be aggressive. So what I want to bring your eye to, as well as the people who are watching on the stream, they can check it out. Oh, thank you, Summerlux, for the resub. Appreciate that. Much love, mate. Summerlux is an old-time viewer, and he just said, ZVZ, it's a knife fight in a phone booth. Yep. And I'm like, yep, there's a reason we use that metaphor for it.
Oh, I fucking love it.
It's a good one, man. So if we look at this game, check it, 4 minutes. So even off a hatch gas pool, about 4 minutes is when a lot of Ling Bane attacks will often start really hitting, because Ling speed normally finishes around 330. We're talking higher level play. Obviously, this doesn't necessarily apply to you. Let's say, you know what, you're in the lower end of Platinum League. Let's add another minute. Let's say 4:45, 5 minutes. A good solid 20 Zerglings, 5-6 Banelings could easily be hitting. So let's go 4:45, 4:50. All right. So your opponent has 2 Roaches, 3 Queens. That Queen, she doesn't fully block that. That's she wants to be Kim Kardashian if you look at your opponent's natural wall in, but she is not. She needs to get some implants on that booty if she wants to hold that wall.
That's a loco wall, that one.
Yeah, if she's perfectly placed, she might actually be able to block Lings getting in, but nonetheless, there's a ton of surface area. Like 6 Lings can hit her at a time, or probably 4 or 5. She'll die pretty quick, and you'll flood in, and you'll just win the game, right? Because what do we got? We've got like 4 Roaches in production, but you could have Lings flooding in easy, and you would just win. Let's look at your side of the map. Okay, Ling Bane hits you. You'd also be dead because all you've got is a pack of slow Zerglings, right? And this is something which I find most Zerg versus Zergs up to like mid to high diamond that I look at. It's like if one person committed hard to the attack, then they get it. So often we see people building more defensive units in this matchup. Your opponent traumatized as well, no doubt, by this matchup, has built a wall, but it's not even a solid wall. And you'll find even at GM, I just do a Ling Bane bust and kill people who try to do this wall off. 60% of the time, I would say I just get the win, or at least get ahead with the Ling Bane.
When I see that wall, I'm like, it says defensive mindset to me. So generally, when I see that, I like to attack. Like in that, like I said, I'm fuck defense. I like aggression. So yeah, that's what I normally do. But for some reason, I think ZVZ, I am just so traumatized losing to fucking.
Yeah, and I mean, we weren't making Ling speed or anything, so like our build just, like we said, that game plan, our build wasn't lining up. Didn't really make sense. Why are we mining gas if we're not going to make Ling speed? Doesn't make sense. We don't need it. So, but if we had, at this point, we see the 2 evolution chambers, the roach mine. It is a defensive mindset. This actually, this early, this tells us it's a gasless opening, a little bit of theory, right? So even if he's mining gas, there's no way he's making Ling speed and affording all that stuff, right? Like he can't be at the same time massing Zerglings, making a Baneling nest, running across with Ling speed. So this is what we call a gasless build, and definitely there's 2 responses against someone who does that. Very defensive. They've got no way to move out. You either be incredibly greedy yourself, get ahead of them that way, or you just go all in and try to kill him right then and there.
Well, I think that's what I did. I think because I saw it and it was defensive, I was like, well, he's not attacking me, so I tried to get greedy. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. I mean, I'll play games and then watch the replays. I'm literally doing.
Yeah. The thing is, because we don't have a refined game plan of that one, check it. We're still building slow Zerglings. We built another round of them. We need nothing. We need nothing but drones. Check how far ahead he is in the workers. He's up 7 workers already. So you probably went, oh, let's be greedy, and you took a 3rd hatch. But that in of itself isn't greedy. Yeah, it's like, well, we could actually have gotten that a minute or 2 earlier than that even. So like there's so many little things going on here, and a game plan is going to help a lot. So the important thing now is to choose whether or not you want to learn Ling Bane control. I highly advise it, even though a lot of people get angry because they don't play it perfectly. Even when you're in GM, you won't play it perfectly. You'll make a lot of fuck-ups. But your opponent's usually going to screw up just as much. So it's either learn Ling Baneling and get in that, or at least do a big Speedling pressure and then go into Roaches behind that and follow up with a big Roachling attack.
Yeah, I think I prefer the Speedling and the Roach counter attack.
All right. We're going to avoid the Baneling micro for now. We're going to put that. I'm going to put that as well. Future mechanical habit to build.
Yep.
I'm also going to add micro. So it's in your future notes here for things you want to work on down the line. Ling Bane ZVZ micro will work on at some point later.
Learn it, but I think at the moment that I feel
you're
like
working on new mechanics, so it's probably a good time.
So, yeah,
I think that's a good idea. Okay, no worries, man. So basically, what we'll do is your game plan. Let's hop out of this replay now, and let's go into another one while we just write out a very simple game plan. So your ZVZ game plan will be a standard opening. Now, the most standard opening, I wrote a note or two before about 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. Let's write out an exact standard build order. While grab another replay, and I'll write this out while you do that. So the most standard build, and you could use this opening for all 3 matchups. So standard opening is normally going to be 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. At 100 gas, my God. Pull workers off gas and start Zergling speed. It's the most standard way of doing things. I'm not even going to write 2 queens in the build. Why? Because obviously you make queens when your pool finishes. So we want to keep your build lists as simple as possible, right? We don't want to put like extra info in. So once things become more natural for you, the more experience you get, the less things you write down in your builds. Because you're like, nah, that's obvious. I don't need to write that down. Oh, that's obvious. I don't need to write that down. Because otherwise you look back at a build and it's like this friggin' epic list and you're like, shift click the Zergling behind the minerals. And then and it's like, there's 1,000 details to remember. Just right click me in the lobby, make me the lobby host again, put me in the driver's seat. Awesome.
You're buddy.
Hells yeah.
This is the pretty sure the long game, so you'll have to fast forward a bit.
Thank you so much, Cheddar Bay. Appreciate the support.
Wanted to watch because I tried the hotkeys, tried grouping the Broodlords and the Vipers.
Okay, nice.
So I just wanted to check that out and see what you think. And
awesome. All right.
Fair warning, I floated. So,
no worries. You know what I'm most curious to find out is if we go for that 14 hatch again.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, every game.
There it is.
Yeah, dude, you're going to have like an extra 30, 50 minerals every game once we fix like that. That alone is huge because that early in the game, like these little boosts are massive, so huge, so huge. So that's actually really cool. Whenever we find a little habit like that, it makes me so happy because I'm like, oh, that's just value.
Yes.
Like when we fix that, that's like the easiest value. Bam, 3% boost to every ladder game you play from now onwards just by having a bit more minerals at the start.
So what I actually I got a hot tip yesterday, and because I was building all my tech way too early, like hatchery too early, all tech stuff too early. So I just this morning I was practicing not building any tech buildings till about 5 minutes, building queens and me. And holy shit, man! I looked at doing it, built third base up, and I was like, fuck! I have like 2,000 minerals and 47,000 lava. I was like, this is awesome. So that worked a lot better to the point where I had so much shit I didn't know how to spend it quickly. So that sounds good to you, or?
Can you just repeat it one more time? Because I think I missed one detail of it.
So basically, not building any tech building around 5 minute mark. It's like layer 330, scout, build up economy links for defense, and then once I'm scouted, then going a tech pass.
I think getting like a roach horn or a baneling nest, depending on which one, is good. But not like just for defense a little bit earlier than that, depending on the situation. But definitely no hydroden. No high attack, and no like really committing to that early.
So
and another way of thinking of this is try to focus on saturating your third mineral line before you go in that direction. So the idea is basically the real PowerPoint in Legacy of the Void especially is if we can get the third mineral line going before we take too many gases. And like we don't want to really rush the lair. We don't want to really rush up too fast in that tech tree. So if we can kind of focus more on, okay, let's get a solid economy and make sure we don't die. We build, each matchup, normally you might build like a handful of roaches to defend some Hellions, right? Or banelings. Or you might build a handful of roaches to defend some adepts. But otherwise it's keep droning. And then we'll come up with like a few rules around like often one will be like, oh, we only get 1 or 2 gases until we've got 3 mineral lines full of drones, and then we'll add the rest of the gases. And it forces us to build the foundation of the economy, which is the mineral-heavy part. And that just means you'll explode and have way more stuff later on. So it's similar to what you're doing, but we're just reframing it. Instead of saying, oh, delay it, we're saying focus on the drones on the third, then focus on the tech a bit after that setup.
Pretty much. What timing do you reckon safety roach being built?
In general, we could probably say something like 45 supply. I have probably like 45 supply, something like that. So it'd probably be about 3:45, 4 minutes, somewhere in there. And there's a few generic rules. Like this game, for instance, we have no information. If our opponent was on one base, we would absolutely already want to have a roach warren earlier than normal and be trying to build lots of defense, right? But assuming they're building up, about 4 minutes is a decent general marker for that. So tab out of the replay. I'm going to stay in it for the moment, but I want you to look at our document. So I've written out the standard opening, and you can use that for all 3 matchups, okay? So that's basically, we're always going for the quick third hatch. Important thing to remember is even if we're being all in, unless it's like a proxy barracks or something like really in your face, like right there, even a 1 base attack, if their production's back in their side, we can still build the third base. Why? The third base is production. Right? There's a difference between putting the hatchery down. That's production. That helps defend. If we lose it, who cares? Doesn't matter. It's just 300 minerals, right? But we don't drone it up. Droning it up is where you're really, that's the economy investment, right? So if you're against a 1 base guy, you're not like, oh, let's build 20 drones from a third base. Fuck no, like 2 bases is more than enough economy, right? You just got to survive. So this is important to kind of think of it in that regard.
Yeah. That's how I've sort of done it. Like I'll try and get the third. And then if I'm getting attacked, I'm like, well, fuck, drones can wait. But then I've got that. That's why I make it for the production. And then,
Like this game, for instance, you can see we're floating tons of money, right? So it's like, oh, man, we could have... if I jumped in right now, it'd be like, take a third, take a fourth, I'd drop a macro hatchery, and we'd really be trying to get on top of that for sure.
This guy, fucking Reapers, man, distracted me really well.
Yeah.
So then I think he was trying to kill me with it because... After this, he had nothing. Like, he just turtled up after it. So I'm like...
He's going to make a planetary fortress in his main base, I think. So that's...
Oh, did he?
I think so. He doesn't have an orbital command. So this is really big fundamental lacking in his macro. That's one of the most important pieces of the Terran. So we froze up under pressure, right? So we can talk about this and we can come up with a reaction list. But let's pause. Let's not look at the replay. Let's look at the document. Let's remember to stay focused one step at a time. So we've got the standard opening, which we can use in all 3 matchups for the most part. Next step for ZVZ, let's write it down. So we can kind of have like, okay, this is the trunk of the tree. Let's go up the trunk a little bit for, okay, what do we do next if it's ZVZ? We wanted to do a Ling pressure into a Roach Ling. Basically all in attack, and down the track we can go, oh, it's a Ling pressure into a Roach Ling attack, into upgraded roaches or muters or whatever you want to do next. But for now, we're always going to win either with the first Lings or the Roach Ling. So I think a general rule after that opening is, let's say about 33 supply. So basically we drone to 33 after that opening, build an extra Overlord or 2, and then we'd go 33 to 44 Zerglings. Okay, so that should be 11 pairs of Zerglings, right? Zerglings and flood across the map for a big pressure. Sometimes you'll win the game with that. But what are we doing behind that? So we're going to drone up to, let's say, 10 workers on our natural minerals. And take a second gas and a roach warren before we hit with the Lings as well. Yep.
So I know that's sort of what I've been trying to do is, hit, and then whilst I'm hitting, build up my economy and production, and then as soon as that's bam, straight hit again, and I'm trying to get it more refined, reduce that time period, so they don't have time to do anything. It's like, oh, okay, stop that attack, and bam, here's another 40 roaches.
Exactly, yeah. And
that's
like,
what I've been trying to do, yeah.
It's something where you'll find once you've practiced it a few times, it becomes infinitely smoother, right? So it's once we have the game plan written down and then we practice it a few times, it'll start to feel more natural, where we'll be like, okay, my Lings are flooding across the map, drop the roach warren, drop the second gas, and build a bunch more drones, right? And so then so then we micro on our Lings, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to pass up your actions. You're going to be like, okay, I'm focusing on my Lings. We're microing. But from the moment you start microing, you should already have a timer in the back of your head saying, we're going to do this for 20 seconds, 30 seconds at most, right? At a certain point where you're going to bounce home and go, cool, put guys on gas because we know we took our gas in our roach warren. Build a few more overlords, build those 8 to 12 roaches, reinforce with massling, go with the next wave. And it's going to be natural because it's rehearsed, but it's also something where we have that timer in our head where we say, I can only ever commit 20 or 30 seconds to a micro situation at a time. And if we've already got the roach warren and the extractor, maybe even in the midst of the Lings fighting, if there's nothing to micro, but we still want to watch the fight to make sure nothing goes bad, we can be like, oh, select the hatcheries, hold down the drone key. And then we might look back at home after the fight goes down and realize, oh, we built 4 more drones than we meant to. Who cares? It's better to have a few more things and a few less. And then we can still go into that next attack. And it's just this really decisive 1-2 punch. Speedlings flood across, do some damage, hopefully, or at least just check them. And then Roachling goes in for the finish. That's a really simple next step, but that's gonna help us out. So a good note to think of is just that idea of you're kind of splitting your activities up. So whenever you're going across the map for an attack, a lot of people just stare at that attack or they get really kind of nervous. It's fine. Whenever we go for an attack, we can often send it to a staging point just outside our opponent's base, like a little bit further back, and we can just let your macro tasks finish. And if those units on that attack wait for 5 seconds, that's fine. Finish your macro tasks. Then, okay, I've got the APM. Let's go in with the Zerglings. Let's look at where we're attacking. So do things on your own order so that you're not fucking up your own priorities. The moment you're like, oh shit, I sent those units in. They're already there. I got to go look at them, but I haven't finished injecting. Oh crap. So then you inject one hatchery and you forget to start overlords. And then like you go micro for 30 seconds. And when you finish your micro, your supply blocked and your injects weren't going. And suddenly...
Sounds familiar.
Everything falls apart, right? Because your attack needs to have done so much more damage. If you've been macroing perfectly behind it, a lot of the time you don't even need to do damage with an attack, right? But the moment you're sacrificing your economy, your production to micro the attack, that's where we're like, this is confusing. I did really good damage, but I'm still behind. What happened? It's like suddenly it's like, oh no, you needed to massacre him because you missed injects for 2 minutes straight and you didn't spend any of your money and you were supply blocked. Yeah.
That's how I lost early on. Like, bronze, silver, and especially in early gold. That's how I lost all the time because I was not macroing at all. I was just balls deep, microing attack, and then all of a sudden the dude's got 3 bases, 6 zealots. I'm like, how? Oh, shit. And I was dead. And so I died to that many times. I'm like, fuck. So yeah, I learned that,
Yeah.
and that's what I've been probably the last month or so is really concentrating on micro and the macro.
Yeah, getting that rhythm bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, so I'm a lot better, but I still always end up behind workers, and then
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, so that's my key weakness is drone
Yeah.
enough, man. Even though I've improved, it's still well and
We're,
truly behind.
we're freestyling right now. So we've been on the dance
Yeah.
floor. We've been dancing like nobody's looking. And it's awesome and it's joyful and it's fun. And it's a good way to learn some fundamentals of being comfortable on the dance floor, right? And just moving your body to the music. But we need some steps because right now when we go into a competition and we're up against someone who, even if they've just had 1 or 2 lessons of ballroom dancing, they're kicking our ass. The judge is like, what the fuck are we doing, man? They're giving us a 1 out of 10 for effort, and that's about it. No points on any of the other categories. So honestly, just having the builds, having the framework to work from, you're going to automatically be way more comfortable. Like here, this game, we ended up with a very mixed composition, right? We went Ling Bane and Roach Hydra Ravager, but more importantly, we got epically thrown off by the early problems. I really want a tunnel vision on that for now.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was like, because it was just so many, and then yeah, just it sort of threw me off, right? And I was like, all right, fuck it, and then I got like worked up for that to deal with all the Reaper pressure.
Yeah.
Then I didn't calm back down and go back to normal and scout because I stayed worked up for the whole match, which is why it took me so long to realize that that's fuck all. What am I doing? And then I was like, oh, I have 7,000 minerals. Better make some base. So that's why, because I didn't go, okay, dealt with the pressure. Like, hit the gas, deal with it, and then I didn't slow back down and go back to normal. I stayed worked up the whole game, which is why I fucked up so much in that game.
And that's one of those things where experience helps, but what's even better than experience is experience and really decisive kind of learning from our past mistakes. So one of the best things whenever we deal with anything that throws us off in the game is you want to learn to identify the situation. So like after a game like this, we want to get to the point where we're immediately like, those Reapers threw me off completely. I had no friggin' idea what to do, and the game was a bit of a mess from there. Now, obviously, we don't want to use that as an excuse and go, yeah, cool. It was a mess because of the Reapers. Let's ignore it. No, it's like, well, wait. We want to know exactly what
it was a mess because I fucked it up.
Yes, and we want to say, well, what did we do next time? We're in that scenario because people go, I fucked it up. I need to remember to spend my money next time. And that's like a real simple thing. Right now, we could be like, well, yeah, you needed to just spend your money, but you were clearly not comfortable dealing with the Reapers, right? So, a couple of little things. Yeah. Yep.
Well, scout. If I just scouted, if I calmed down, just scouted all the map, I would have realised that, hang on, fuck all, and I painted 2 bays. And I would have killed him like 10 minutes quicker, but...
Well, what about with the initial response? Because it really wasn't that many Reapers, right? But we got really thrown off by very few Reapers coming in here. Like they did not do that much. It shouldn't have done that much because this was just one barracks rallying Reapers all the way from his side of the map.
Yeah.
So, but we didn't have any Overlord vision. We didn't even know if it was 1 base or 2 base, and we also didn't have our Overlords placed around our base. So we do want to be a little bit more methodical. Just in general, we should always have an Overlord goes to their side of the map. Preferably, there's a piece of high ground on almost every map next to their natural. I would advise you to just sit there pretty much every game because that's invaluable. Just being able to see everything that goes on there is huge. And I reckon a second Overlord, if you really want to sacrifice an Overlord to scout later, if you go to everyone's camera, you can see somewhere or where your Overlord is currently, and then you can send it into the production. Yeah.
Jump back in the game, yeah?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Hop back in the game, yep. Are you on everyone's camera?
Yeah.
So do you see the signals on the minimap?
Yep.
Cool. So, yeah, Overlord on the pillar above the natural is super important because it'll see everything going on there.
When I remember, that's always where I put it.
So that should be something that happens like every game, right? Every game, go do that. Other than that, we should have Overlords around the edges of our base, right? Yep. If we're playing Protoss, Adepts could shade in. If we don't see them till they're in our mineral line, they can murder a ton of drones, right? Yep. Same with Hellions, same with Reapers. So if you, once again, everyone's camera, signals. I'm going to signal where I would put my next 3 overlords after the first 2. And I do this against Protoss, and I do it against Terran. And if I took the 3rd base, say up to the top, that overlord would press further forward to sit in front of that 3rd, right? Or if I took the 3rd base to the bottom, that overlord would push further out. And that way I've got this mad ring of vision, so I see everything coming my way. After that, I'll often put an overlord there. This is just naturally as you build them. So every time I build an overlord in the early game, I build overlord and I right-click on my minimap. Because you've got it selected right after you build. So I'll go build overlord, right-click minimap. Build overlord, right-click minimap. So that they're already, the moment I build them, rallying out to their scouting locations. And that's just kind of programmed into your play automatically. So that's a really good point and something which is very important in every matchup. In ZVZ, it's a little bit different. You need more vision of the ground paths across the middle and that sort of thing. And you need to see if units flood out of their base is very important. So you need more you often need 2 overlords outside their base so that you can see what's going on. But we can get to that. So I'm going to write just a couple of little notes here. So we're going to say overlord vision. Okay, so what are we going to do? General rule, first overlord. Always on high ground above natural, or the pervert pillar, as I call it.
I do like the pivot.
It's always good to have a watch without anyone knowing. And let's not speak about what the overlords get up to. Yeah, you will get chased out by a bunch of angry marines if they realize you've been watching them. But yeah, first overlord there. Second OV ready to sacrifice is a good general rule. So up somewhere near the main. Third to 5th.
Most of the time, if I don't know what's going on, I'll dual side one in. And I'm a huge fan of overlord speed. I love that upgrade.
It is very nice. Definitely don't rush it too early, though, because it's really good for the mid-game onwards, but if you rush it too early, it's a big expense. And as you get more Ling map vision with the non-F2, you're going to find that you don't really need it as much. So spotting airspace as well. So that's all going to be really good. The other thing we want to talk about here is, well, what about a reaction list? So what is a reaction list? So a reaction list is, if we think about it, it's a branch. So a reaction list or branch is some form of reaction to something that's going on in the game, right? So your build order is the tree of the trunk of the tree, right?
Yep.
Build order is the trunk of the tree. It's flexible. It's an organism. It's not just a dead plank of wood that does the same thing every game. No, it changes game to game, right? But only changes when there's a good logical reason to do it, okay? So when we learn a reaction list is a way of saying, okay, what's a small variation we can make? A small variation off the build that will then branch back into the build, right? So it always goes back towards the main set of goals at a certain point, unless you really need to change things up completely. Like, oh, he's massing carriers, I can't mass roaches anymore, right? We're going to maybe change the whole trunk, but that's a rare occurrence. Normally, we go back to the normal game plan, right? So in this case, it could be something as simple as, guess what? 3 Reapers show up real early. This can be our first reaction list, right? So hop back into your document, tab back, 3 Reapers show up. And what we can do is, I'm going to write this one for you, but I want you to do this anytime you encounter something. It could be something as simple as, I see a Liberator coming across the map. What's my reaction list? Build a spore in each base, move a queen to the edge of the map to intercept.
Hello.
That's it. Testing. Can you hear me? Testing.
Hello.
Testing. Discord! What's going on, Discord? Maybe your speakers or headset derped? Or it came unplugged? Evolution complete. Testing. Testing. Thank you, Twitch chat. Oh, Control-Shift-G, Angel of Fortunate. I'm not sure about WCS overlay, but this is game art. For this, it's Control-Shift-G. Not sure if this works there. Sloth.
Hey, a new queen was just born.
Sloth. How you doing, man? Did he respond in game? Don't know what's happening. Anyways, we've got to finish real soon, I think. We only had like 2 minutes left, so let's see. Hopefully we can get back on call and kind of just... We wanted to talk about hotkeys, so I'll go take a look at his control groups and his unit control after this one. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Actually, I'm not sure if it is working. The fuck? Can you guys hear me on stream still? Yeah? What's going on with Discord? I think Discord just pooped itself, guys. It's not going green anymore. That's super weird. I think something weird happened on Discord then after I tried to restart the call, because it was going green before, so I didn't think it was my end, but it might be. Oh, look at that juicy bank. Testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing. The fuck? Why is my normally your thing goes green when you're speaking, right? You like Battle.net chat? Never tried it. Testing, testing.
Yo, yo.
Hey, you can hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Don't know what happened, man. No idea.
The fucking gremlins, man.
The gremlins. Fucking with us again, dude.
Asshole.
Goddamn gremlins. All right. Okay, cool. So, this game, you wanted to kind of look at your late game unit control. So you started to use, you had a single infester and vipers. General rule.
Yeah, it was, one or the other.
Don't ever use 2 spellcasters. That shit's crazy, man. That's so hard to use. And those broodlords, we took a real long time to get into them.
Yeah.
We had a real low tier army here, like way too many. Like Ravage is so expensive on the gas, so slow to get up that Great Aspire. So one of the big things is if you decide to go late game, you start a hive. You then start, you start an infestation. The second the infestation pit finishes, you go hive and spire at the same time. The second that hive finishes, you go straight for Great Aspire.
Roger that.
And then you have corruptors ready. The moment the Great Aspire finishes, you morph broodlords.
Boom.
If you do that all together with no downtime, it takes not that long.
Yeah.
If you're 90% of players on the ladder, you build the infestation pit. A minute and a half later, you remember to start your hive. Hive finishes, you go, oh, I forgot my spire. You start your spire. another minute after the spire finishes. Yeah, and then it's like 12 minutes to get to broodlords when it could be 2.5 minutes or something like that. So it's something where if you're ever rushing to Vipers or rushing to Broodlords or anything, a good thing to check in the replay is like, oh, how much downtime was there between each one of those? Yep. And especially if you're in a game like this where there's no pressure on you, a lot of people are like, oh, I feel like I got to do something. So they're spending all this APM running their army back and forwards, and they're forgetting to make the Great Aspire. They're forgetting to make the next thing. Exactly what you're doing. It's what everybody does. It's the common mistakes I've done myself many times in the past, and I've coached thousands of people. Or hundreds at least, probably over 1,000 at this point, I would imagine, on these same ones, right? They always prop up because it's natural. So sometimes, just kind of putting a bit more focus in that can be great. But I did like that you were using different control groups a little bit there. Definitely getting used to using like control group 1, control group 2 kind of thing, like main army spellcaster. Will take a bunch of getting used to, but you will get there with a bit of practice. And what you'll find is like if you go for the power units like Broodlords, it's much easier. Like at this stage of the game, you should never be dropping a corrosive bile. It's just not important, right? Like it's important to always think of your army as having one A move section and one spellcaster section. So you could have like all your fighting units and your Broodlords on one hotkey, and then all your Vipers on another hotkey, and that could be your army, right?
Yep.
And that's about it. Now, as you get more advanced, you can say put those Broodlords on a separate key because you want to use them individually. But even just using 2 control groups well is like already a big challenge and takes a while to get used to. But if you do it well, it's really good. Like there's a lot of players like, oh man, I need to start learning 7 control groups to get to GM. And I'm like, no man, like there's GM players who literally only use the select all army key. Like really quite high level players. Yeah. Are they the top pros? No. Is it the best way to do it? No. But they do their thing really well. Like me. Yeah. I remember a lot of players in early leagues, they're like, oh, pros have too many spellcasters. How am I meant to force field storm and use disruptors at the same time? And I was always like, you're not. Like, what are you doing? Like, I was like, I just go stalkers and disruptors. If I want to add more splash damage, I don't go storm even if I think it would be a good idea because I know I'm going to fuck up controlling it. Like, and this is, I'm competing at a pretty high level and stuff, but like, I'm going to just be like, no, let's go all A move units, 1 spellcaster, right? And that just makes your composition really simple, allows you to not screw things up.
That's
Not
what
a
I
fan of
normally
this
do.
Broodlord morphing position, by the way. Very
Yeah.
dangerous.
Oh, no.
Very dangerous.
I didn't realize until I watched the replay, and I was watching where I was spawning, and I was like, "Well, that was fucking dumb."
You're like in sensor
That's
tower
why-
vision, like almost
that's
in
why
range of the Marines.
Yeah, that's why I moved them back as soon as they spawned. I was like, "Go, go, go, go!" Because they were, yeah. I was like, "That was not smart."
Yes, that was
But,
very ambitious indeed.
So this was sort of a cool game because it made me learn a few things. I tried the group hotkeys out. It made me realize not to overreact, and I also need to scout. Like if I just scouted, this
Yeah.
guy was on 2-3 bases. I'd like, all right, Broodlords, you're dead.
Yeah.
So what about
Exactly.
Broodlords and Vipers? Do you think that's
Oh, absolutely. Broodlords and Vipers is great. A lot of people never even build the Vipers. Like just the Broodlords themselves and making sure you've got supporting units underneath them is good. Like microing like this is not really how you'd want to be microing. Like you would want to have taken those rocks down because you need to be able to have the Hydras underneath them.
Yeah.
Vikings are usually the key threat against Broodlords, so you should always make sure you build, good number of Corruptors with them.
Yeah.
You're doing a pretty good job of kind of manually moving this back and forwards, but we'd like it to be even simpler
Yeah,
if
you'd
possible,
want to-
right?
yeah.
Just like have the 10 Broodlords, jump in once the tank's on siege. Like everything should be going in at this point. We don't need to be afraid of a planetary on its own.
That was a shit blinding cloud.
Yeah, it's not too bad to put one on it, but yeah.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'll put a blinding cloud on the planetary force 4, but it was still shooting. Can the blinding clouds stop them from shooting? Do they? Or did I have that wrong?
Yeah, it should stop ranged units from attacking. Actually, doesn't it make their attack melee range? So I think it only stops siege tanks from shooting. So I believe it can still shoot like Zerglings that are next to it. I believe.
Okay. Because I put the blinding cloud down. I was like, that thing's still shooting. It's like, did I just fuck that up, or is that what I thought happened not happen? So yeah, that's what.
Yeah, it makes the attack melee. Chat's confirming it. Sometimes I forget details like that because I basically only use Blinding Cloud on a planetary when it's fighting like Roach Hydra usually. So yeah, it basically stops it from attacking if you've got ranged units only.
Cool. All right, that's a good learn.
Last little detail here. So in this replay, back on that kind of reaction list to the Reapers, is you kept like trying to split your Zerglings up. You were real worried about this ledge. You're like, oh, 4 Zerglings over here and 4 up here. This is just pointless, right? They should all just be on one group, on one control. What happens if those Reapers jump up that ledge? They're not threatening anything. So you should have just, number 1, click Zerglings behind natural. If he enters base deep enough, A-move them. Continue doing your build. That's it. So it's like, oh, he's got more Reapers than normal. This could be something quite aggressive. Maybe we would say, oh, okay, let's build 20 Zerglings to be safe. But check this out. Like, we keep attacking with like 3 or 4 Zerglings at a time, and it's like, it's not just that it's not killing the Reapers, it's wasting our APM and our attention and making us freak out. Whereas if you just said, overbuild defense a little, make the 20 Zerglings, and then go back to focusing on my normal details, because most of the damage from something like this comes from you getting distracted. So part of your reaction list would actually be a reminder to not overreact, right? If you always overreact in a certain way, you say, remember to build overlords and drones and keep doing your build.
First step is to farm.
Sorry, you cut out there for a sec. First step was what?
First step's to calm your farm.
Yes, exactly. So we are out of time for now. So let's hop out of this replay. But yeah, this is a good first sesh. So basically, it's just write down your little reminders with those lists. And in general, whenever it's something that's a light pressure from our opponent, we don't want it to sap our attention, right? A couple Reapers show up. Let's say build 20 Lings. A move at Reapers whenever they come too deep or threaten.
So the idea is just to A-move the Reapers and you get about that task and go back to concentrating on eco.
Exactly. Keep macroing, remember dronings, remember overlords, etc. Whatever else goes into that, yeah? So same thing, like if like a Liberator, you see a Liberator coming to your main base, people are like, oh, okay. And they're like, they send all their queens to their main and they're like waiting for it and they're watching it. It's like, no, just put a sport out in each base and maybe move that one queen to the edge so it get a few shots off ahead of time and just keep injecting and stuff, right? So it's like recognizing the difference between, oh shit, this is a big scary attack, let's put all my attention in figuring out how to deal with it, and oh, that's a bit of light pressure, let's not let that distract us.
So if you can obviously be better at that than the other guy, if that other guy is getting balls deep in that one Liberator or Reapers, for example, which is what I think happened, he got so balls deep in that, and I defended it, and he's like, oh shit, I don't know what to do now.
Exactly. So yeah, it seemed like he kind of freaked out a little bit after that.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. And I mean, his build was really bad because it was relying on you massively overreacting, right? His whole
Yeah.
he didn't make an orbital. He was on one base for like 8 minutes or something crazy,
Yep.
but wasn't really putting any real pressure on. So he was just doing like the slowest build up of all time, but he didn't
Yep.
really have any attack at the same time. So he was kind of in this weird middle zone where it just didn't quite work out. So if we can have a nice clear opening already, that's going to be great. So work on that standard opening in all 3 matchups.
Yep.
We gave you a really clear, decisive Zerg versus Zerg game plan. For the other 2 matchups, whatever floats your boat. Maybe you're like, at this point I build a Roach Warren and then I build 8 Roaches for safety, but then I drone up really hard and then I maybe do a gigantic Roach attack off 60 drones later or something, right? So up to you to choose what you want to do, but just write it down and you can start out with a real vague thing like that. Like, I want to do a big Roach Hydra attack with 2/2 upgrades, maxed out, off 66 drones or something. Like you can start with that and then you can work your way back. You'd be like, okay, actually I can probably only get +2 attack. Let's skip the carapace upgrades because I'm always gas starved. I don't have enough gas. Okay, cool. I hit it this game at 11 minutes. I was maxed out. I had this much army, this many drones. And then you can kind of benchmark yourself and you can start to like just adapt it here or there. And just by having that kind of goal, you're going to start to naturally get better at everything else. And then we can address it and we can like fine tune things and figure it out. But definitely give yourself some more game plans against Terran and Protoss. Work on the new opening. And most importantly, work on those mechanics. 5-10 minutes a day in an empty custom game. Just click continue game. It'll say victory screen at the start.
Yeah, done, man.
Oh, you've done it? Awesome.
Oh yeah. That's
Good.
So
It's the shooting range of StarCraft.
Yeah.
Just figuring out your basic mechanics. Just sitting there drilling it over and over again. One of the things that drives me crazy about battle royale games is they often don't give you a shooting range or anything. So I'm like, oh really? I have to parachute in and fight 100 other people just to figure out how the gun shoots in your game, even though it's totally unrealistic and it's different to every other game. So I'm like, just let me get a little bit of mechanical practice, please. As a hardcore gamer, I get like really triggered. That's why I can't keep changing battle royale games like everyone else can. But yeah,
I just get such a rush off StarCraft, man.
It's the best.
Fucking awesome, man. Like running around shooting people, fucking boring. After you get into this shit, man, like, go away, child.
Hells yeah.
The adult stuff.
This is the big boy games. Awesome, man.
Love it.
All right, awesome. Well, I got to run. Write down any questions, whether on a notepad or straight into the document. Yep.
Yeah, I'll just do the document, yeah.
Awesome. And if there's any replays that you want to really analyze, you have some thoughts on anything you save, it's good. And the thing is, we're not always going to be able to cover everything you write down, but it just makes you more methodical, right? So you start coaching yourself, you start solving problems on your own, but then the ones you can't solve or the ones I can give a bit more info on are always good. So it should be great, man.
I'll start it. I'll just question and then I'll start. And every time I have a question, I'll just write it in there. Then
Sweet.
I'll pick something for next time to spend on time on like that one thing.
Indeed.
I think that's probably the more efficient way to do it.
Exactly. So just hit me up with an email after a few days of practice or a week, whenever you want to, okay, I think I'm ready in a week to set up a session or something. So just shoot me an email when you think when you want to do it, and we'll book in a time, man.
Will do, mate.
All right. Have a great day, dude.
Yeah, too, buddy.
See you later, man.
See you, mate.